Hello, my snow angels. I'm back with an album review. This time it's Jin from BTS's first solo album called Happy. For those of you who don't know, Jin is the oldest member of BTS and was the first to leave for military service in December 2022. He came back this year in June and finally released his first solo album. I remember when he left how sad I was because he was the first member of BTS to leave, and it meant that it was real, that they would all be gone for a while, and it would be a while before they would all be back as a group. But he did leave us with his beautiful song, The Astronaut, which was co written by Chris Martin of Coldplay. But he couldn't leave us with an album like the other members could because there wasn't enough time. So when he came back, I was so happy that I pranced around the house singing, Jin is back, Jin is back, and I just couldn't contain it. And I was really excited about his solo stuff since it had been a long time coming. So when the announcement came that his first album would be called Happy, I couldn't think of a better word for this. So to start out my analysis of the album, I want to first read the Weverse announcement, where it says, Happy is Jin's heartfelt invitation for fans to join him on his journey to discover happiness. The album features 6 tracks, each with its own unique vibe, all grounded in a band sound. With his sincere emotions and warm messages to his fans woven throughout, Happy, we hope the album brings joy to all of you. So before I break down each track, I'm going to break down this statement now that I've listened to the album. So this album does read like a journey towards happiness, and I will break that journey down a little bit more as I break down the tracks, but there is a progression of this happiness. However, happiness is, of course, an ongoing journey that we all have to make every day. Jin's journey to happiness is far from over, but he has the right attitude to navigate the journey and to choose happiness every day. And the tracks do all have a unique vibe and do have a band sound. In fact, they reminded me of the kind of stuff I grew up listening to, especially in middle school and high school, and still to this day I turn to this kind of music for comfort because of how familiar it is and how much it's helped me through those difficult years. A lot of the tracks on this album sounded like bands like Goo Goo Dolls and Dashboard Confessional that I wouldn't quite call alt rock because it is softer in vocals and production. He also isn't trying to be angsty like the alt rock bands from that era were. He's not trying to have like a political statement or some sort of like it's not a phase mom kind of thing. Not that there's anything wrong with that. I loved all that and I still listen to all that. He is intense and passionate at times, but he's more mature and sincere about it. And the statement talked about sincere emotions and warm messages, and that's exactly the impression I got from this album. And a lot of that has to do with his vocals. Jin's voice doesn't get talked about nearly enough. I really consider him to be a very underrated vocalist. Because when people usually talk about BTS's vocals, they are probably talking about Jungkook's voice. And of course, they talk about the other members too, because the other members each have a unique and special voice. But Jungkook's gets talked about the most because he is an incredible vocalist. So that's understandable. However, Jin also has an amazing voice. It's very mellow and warm. It's simple, but that's the beauty of it because it's sincere. His sincerity really shows through. It's also easy to listen to his voice. He doesn't have a powerhouse vocal, but he doesn't have to. There are many different types of singers with many different types of vibes. Like, not everyone's gonna sound like Whitney Houston or Mariah Carey. You know, some are more mellow and more laid back, but that doesn't make them any less of a good vocalist. It just makes them different. His voice is very stable, he has very good control, the vibrato is nice, and he showcases a very wide range. So I hope that more people will recognize how incredible of a vocalist he is. And I definitely think that this album will help people see that. And that he is so much more than worldwide handsome. He is a talented and sincere vocalist and lyricist because he did participate in the lyrics and production of most of these tracks. So now let's get into the nitty gritty with the tracks. The first is track 1 called Running Wild. It's the main track and it's the only one that's fully in English. This song sounds like Goo Goo Dolls and Dashboard Confessional to me more than all the other tracks on the album. I also got a little bit of an Augustana vibe. Like, I love the song Sweet and Low and Boston by them. So I really, really got that vibe from this. And I really love the chorus because of his falsetto / head voice, which is really gorgeous. And he uses it a lot in this album, which I think was an amazing choice. The lyrics read like he's wanting to pick things back up where they left off with a lover with the intensity as if they're living like it's their last day. Running Wild is a call to live and love in a carefree manner. Of course, the song could be about him and Army, but we got to learn to accept that he's gonna fall in love someday, if he hasn't already. In a month, he's gonna be fucking 32 years old already. Like, come on. It's time that we learn to accept to be mature. That just because they're not gonna end up with us doesn't mean that we should have any right at all to be jealous and to harass anybody online and to stalk and do crazy shit. I talk about this a lot on my channel about how we need to respect privacy and how we need to see these artists as human beings, and I don't think I'm saying it often enough because of the delusion I see online and the fact that it's a really huge problem in Korea, especially with BTS. But there have been many K-pop idols who have unalived themselves as a result of this. So it is time that we collectively accept that they are grown men and that they have a right to be happy just like everyone else, and in fact, like, they really, really deserve it. So I sincerely hope that he finds someone, if he hasn't already, that makes him feel this way, because I want him to be happy. Track 2 is I'll Be There. This was his pre-release track, and when I first heard it, it reminded me somewhat of Somebody to You by the Vamps, even though I know that song is a lot more poppy than this one. But the sound really suits his mellow and sincere voice, and it's a song that makes your problems feel smaller. I love the ooh, 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 interspersed with the oh. It's fun. It's really fun, and it makes your heart feel lighter. The bridge slows down and the production has more chimes in it to showcase Jin's voice, to illustrate when people are feeling at their lowest and feel alone and they need someone to be there for them. He promises that he will be. The lyrics in general are very simple because it's a sincere promise that Jin will be there for us who listen to his music. He'll be there to help us smile and get through our busy lives, stresses, and tough times. He's been in the industry for over 11 years, so he's aware that millions of people turn to his music for comfort and to feel happy. I definitely have. His music specifically. And this feels like an acknowledgement of that and a promise to keep being that for us. So already the journey is being shown clearly. First, with his vow to live every day like it's his last with the people that he loves. Second, with his promise to be there for the people that he loves, but every journey comes with its difficulty and heartache, where we all have to really dig deep inside ourselves to get through it and to become better as a result and grow as people. Which brings me to track 3, Another Level. The track starts with alarm sounding synths and synth pads. Then it's slow when his vocals come in. They sound somewhat haunting. Then as the song builds, he starts to sing in kind of a more chromatic key. There is a sweep and then a drop, and then the beat picks up in the chorus. towards the end, there's also a guitar solo element with some drums in the background. And yeah, it's definitely very classic rock sounding, which I really love. And in fact, like, I would say this song probably goes the hardest, and a lot of that has to do with its subject matter. Because the lyrics speak of him being stuck in his problems, and in the pre chorus, his determination starts to show through with his will to fight and push through. The lyrics in the chorus state, and keep in mind, when I'm scripting this video, it was right after the album came out, so the translations on Genius hadn't come out yet, so I did watch a lyric YouTube video. They are incredibly fast. Their translation said, "Don't be scared, even if I collapse sometimes. One step. We'll bounce back and hit." It is a message to never give up. He uses a metaphor on the second verse of how dark it is in the middle of the night, kind of like the cliche saying, "It's always darkest before the dawn." And then he gives the powerful statement that he will walk into the light and hit a new level, which is how it goes when you're in a game and you go through tough bosses or you're grinding out levels. I play a lot of JRPGs, by the way. You do level up and you become stronger. And that's definitely the case when you're going through difficult things in your life, that you level up as a person, which is why I think this track is fitting, has a fitting title, especially since Jin himself does love playing games. But this song, to me, seems like he is referring to his journey with the rest of BTS. Of course, this song could also be referring to personal struggles he has in his life, as everyone has them, but it does remind me of the struggles they all had to go through as a group, because they have gone through some really dark and difficult times to get to where they are now. And there were even times where they almost gave up and disbanded, but they all helped each other push through and walk through the light. Jin is, of course, sharing his own perspective, but the fact that he uses the pronoun we for the chorus in English makes it clear to me that he's talking about BTS. Track 4. Nege Tahil Tekaji. Sorry if my Korean is shitty. And the English name is Falling. The guitar has quick strums and there are little whistle motifs. Then the drums have a constant kick. The pre-chorus gets vibey with the beat more stripped back, and then it picks up for the chorus while Jin goes into his head voice. There is an electric guitar riff coming in through the second verse, and then during the bridge, Jin sings faster and with more intensity, but then he pulls back afterwards before it goes into the final chorus, where the beat really picks up. The chorus has more sustained notes, so the bridge starts to repeat while the chorus goes over the top of it until the end of the track. The lyrics talk of the person he's interested in who seems cold and disinterested. He wants to make this person his, but he can't seem to get through to them. And the vibe I got was that the person didn't know how much he's fallen for them, but he wants them with his whole heart and is determined to get through. It's definitely a confession song with how much he wants to know how they feel in return. And it's definitely a relatable stage of happiness, because falling in love can lead to happiness if it works out between those two people. And there is always that weird, awkward in-between stage of you've fallen for the person, but you don't know how they feel yet. And so there's a lot of uncertainty and you don't know what you have to do to make things happen. So, there's always that in-between stage on that journey to happiness and that aspect of happiness. But if it doesn't work out, it is a good stepping stone to the right person once the time is right. And, life is about timing a lot of the time. And of course, being with someone and being in a romantic relationship isn't the end-all be-all for happiness. You do have to learn to find happiness within yourself and within your circumstances. But having a good person in your life does lead to happiness, naturally. So I really hope that things work out for him, because he deserves it. Which leads to track 5. Heart on the Window, featuring Wendy from Red Velvet. This track is actually my favorite on the album. It starts out with a guitar part that reminds me of the one on Iris by Goo Goo Dolls. But of course, this song is a lot happier than that one. Jin's voice is very sincere in this track and it all builds. He goes into falsetto and the production picks up. During Wendy's verse, there is a chorus effect on the guitar. And to be honest, I had never really listened to Red Velvet before, so I didn't know Wendy. Of course, I knew she was in Red Velvet. I had heard of her, but I never actually listened to her voice. But damn, her voice is absolutely gorgeous. I was really blown away. It's such a beautiful tone. And when they harmonize together, their voices sound so good together. And then their ad-libs and their riffs work really well together. Like there's a lot of feedback, it did feel like a conversation. And it gives this track a more romantic and angelic effect. It is very elevated. And it really sounds like the warm and melty feeling that you have when you're in love, like drawing a warm heart on a cold and cloudy window. During the final chorus, they have stacked vocals, which does contribute to that more angelic effect. It sounds like pure magic. And the track literally ends on a high note. My only complaint was that the song was too short. In fact, I would say that about the whole album. I think it's only the main track and the pre-release that were over 3 minutes. The rest of them were under. And from what I hear, what I've heard lately, this seems to be a hype thing now. Hype has fallen into the TikTokification of music, where everything is cut short, and I take a lot of issue with this. I take a lot of issue in this because I write music, right? And there's a reason why we have song structure like we do. Because I think of songs as telling a story, it's singing a story, and every story has a conflict, it has a theme, it has a build-up, it has a climax, and it has a resolution. Songs function the same way. You know, you're introducing the theme, the conflict, the message, and then the chorus really nails that home. The bridge seems kind of more like a climax / resolution. Like there's a story progression there. And I feel like when you're cutting that short, it's not as effective with telling that story. So, of course, we don't want to go back to the days where a track was fucking 10 minutes long. But I do really feel like the sweet spot is between 3 and 4 minutes. But now it seems like music is more in the 2 to 3 minute range, which I just think that's just way too short when you really want to tell a compelling story through your music. So I really feel like high producers really need to give their artists longer songs. Of course, I have my issues with hype in general and how they treat their artists, but that's not what I'm going to be talking about on this channel. So that's why my overall complaint about the album, the songs were way too damn short, and I really feel like it's a hype problem and less of a Jin problem. Switching gears, I really need to talk about the lyrics on this track because they are so poetic. When the first verse says, "When the breath spreads silently through countless seasons, and I fall more every minute, more every hour, as if in a dream, on the white window of my heart, darkly engraved you and me. Still in the dazzling window, so that you can see my heart. So I'll leave you a heart on the window, beyond the time I waited for you." Wendy's verse is an answer. His love opened a transparent window filled with light. The lyrics are very palpable for anyone who's ever been in love. But I really hope that this is happening for him. He must have waited a very long time, and I hope that he or she, since he hasn't disclosed his sexuality, and it's none of our business, but I hope that person was worth the wait, because he's an incredible person who deserves the best. So I hope that he has, or that he will have that if he doesn't have that already. Of course, that's none of my business, but it's just something that I really sincerely hope for him. The end of the journey of this album doesn't feel like an ending, but the renewal of a promise. In track 6, Grime, which the English title is I Will Come to You. Grime means, if I'm not mistaken, in a painting or picture. This track is a piano ballad with his soft vocals, which I think was a very excellent choice to end the album, because this track highlights his stable voice and his sincere emotions. In fact, I almost got emotional because of his beautiful sincerity. He shows his whole range with lower notes, and he goes into his falsetto again. I really think that this was the perfect song to end his album because even before seeing the translation, I could feel that it was a promise. The lyrics talk about how the day he left felt like winter. And this instantly made me think of when he left for his military service because he left in the winter. Now, I understand that winter could be stating the emotions he was feeling when he left, as you should take music and lyrics in a more symbolic way instead of literal. But why not both in this case? So I am interpreting this track as how he felt when he left for his military service and during the time that he was gone. So I'm gonna be interpreting this track under that lens. He states that he missed us, wanted us to hold on to the memories and be happy. Then he promises that he'll come back in the spring, just like all of BTS promised in their song Spring Day, which is one of my personal favorites. In the second verse, there is the metaphor about paintings, which is why I believe that the track was called Gorime. They are filled with his memories and his longing. Then, towards the end, he has a metaphor about how we are the ray of light on the dark road. Now, I feel like I can speak a little bit for Army when I say that Army is so happy that he is back from the military and came back to us. Those of us who loved him and loved all of BTS, all 7, never left. I know that we all want him to be happy too, just like he wants us to be happy. He sang over and over in his album about how he wants us to be happy. I know that he has come a long way in his own personal journey to happiness. He has gone through so much in BTS and individually in his personal life, and now his military service too. It is so special that he decided to share part of his happy journey with us and promise that we are a part of that. And you can really feel it, especially with how sincere he sounds on this album. And I know that he is being sincere. I'm so grateful to him and the other members of BTS for being a part of my own personal happiness journey too. They have all helped me so much during my life and during the most difficult times of my life. I know I wouldn't be where I am today without their music and their presence. I can think of specific instances where each member and their own individual tracks has helped me, and Jin is certainly no exception to that. There have been several solo songs from him that have really, really helped me through dark times. So I sincerely hope with all my heart that he is happy and continues to choose happiness for the rest of his life. So let's all support him in that and continue to listen to his music. Thank you so much for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe, as I will continue to make content about different music artists, album reviews, covers, and I even put out my own original songs. If you love BTS, I also have album reviews for Muse by Jimin and Right Place Wrong Person by RM. Also, next week, I will have a cover of one of Jin's new songs out, so please stay tuned for that. And I'll see you next time. Bye!